Hello and welcome to the morning after show. My name is Joshua Reimer. I am joined by none other than Jared Block, who's over on my right. Jared, how you doing this fine Thursday morning?
Doing well. Just had a nice little night of baseball yesterday for myself, and I'm happy we get to talk about some basketball today. Got some NFL stuff to cover. It's another great day.
Yes, it is another great day. Super excited to talk about NBA Finals tonight, man. I mean, it's we're finally here, finally the big game, or one of the big games, and we finally get to see how this series is going to play out, which I'm excited for. I don't know about you, but I'm thrilled about it.
Yep, gonna be a great series. I have some. We've already been having some debates in our Discord about who the top five players are in that series. So, uh, stuff all over the board. I think more people are coming in on the Celtics as time goes on.
I agree with that. I think that people are coming in on the Celtics as time goes on, and it'll be interesting to see how things play out. Regardless, though, we'll get to NBA Finals soon. That's one of the last things that we're going to cover on today's slate. First, we are going to end up covering NHL recap, like we always do, and cover what happened last night. Tampa Bay Lightning end up getting upset by the Rangers in a big upset too. Rangers win 6-2 in Madison Square Garden. What a game for the Rangers! They really poured it on against the Lightning as underdogs here, and I remember a lot of people saying that this is going to be a low-scoring game, and I don't think that came true either.
No, two games now into the conference finals, and there's been almost 20 goals scored, actually over that by now. So yeah, not the best goalie performances here. Just shows you how great the offenses are and how competitive things are. Rangers continue to be one of the best teams at home, and we'll see if that continues. I know that they've gotten a lot of criticism, but for not being a good road team, but that is how they got here. So we'll see if they can continue that.
Yep, for sure. We have game two tonight um, of the Western Conference Championship with the Avalanche and the Oilers facing off against each other. Edmonton Oilers minus 155 favorites here for this game. So I don't know. Do you find that interesting at all that the Oilers are pretty decently sized favorites in this one?
Um, are you sure that they're favorites? I'm pretty sure that
Uh,
the Avalanche are.
Maybe I'm seeing something wrong. I'm reading off of ESPN right now. Here, let me go look somewhere else and see uh, who is the favorite in this one. It does seem a little bit weird for Edmonton to be that big of a favorite anyway, so I probably am wrong here.
Yeah, Avalanche are minus 176 on
Yeah,
ESPN and FanDuel Sportsbook. So the
there you go.
total 7.5 does seem again high, but I think most of these are going to be 7 or 6.5 for the most part of the series. In the Eastern Conference is supposed to be the closer series. Edmonton probably the going to be the biggest underdog moving forward here out of all the teams. So I don't know. I think Avalanche have a pretty clear handle on this series. I just can't imagine them losing this one at home here too.
Yeah, it certainly would be interesting. I don't think they lose this one. You're right. Colorado the big favorites here. I was looking at Saturday's game, so that would that would explain that on why that was a different number over there. All right, we're done with our NHL recap. Kai asked, "Have you had coffee yet, Jared?" I was wondering the same thing, man. You're coming in a little sluggish today.
Me?
Yeah,
I don't think so, man. I didn't get the I didn't get the game three number wrong.
yeah, that's true. That's a good point. All right,
That's covered right here.
good. Let's move on to NFL news and talk about everything that happened yesterday in the NFL. Found out that Brady and Rodgers handled Mahomes and Allen in the match. That was a lot of fun. Did you see the joke that Mahomes cracked to Josh Allen? Because I had a good chuckle about it.
No, catch me up on that.
All right, so they were doing like little interviews of the pairs, and they asked a question where it was like, "Tell us what you think the other person's biggest fear is." And Josh Allen said something stupid like vegetables or something, but Patrick Mahomes said that Josh Allen's biggest fear was a coin toss, and I thought that was
Yikes.
hilarious. Yeah, yikes indeed. He said it wasn't for Josh Allen; it was for all the Bills fans there. because I guess Bills fans really traveled out to that thing in Las Vegas, which I thought was funny. They were saying that Bills fans were the biggest crowd there compared to Bucks fans or anyone else, and I don't know. I thought that was definitely interesting, but it was fun to watch. I watched a little bit of it. I watched the tail end of things. Were you able to watch it at all?
I saw some of the highlights. I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I thought that the golfing, like the one where they actually went up and paired with the golfers, was more interesting than this, but it still was okay.
Yeah, I thought it was still fun. Bacon saying yo, yo, yo in the chat. What's going on, Bacon? Glad to have you here. Life Augusti says coffee equals no bueno. Yeah, I agree with that. Life Augusti says you saw Charles Barkley pause. I didn't get to see Charles Barkley's pause moment. I did see Charles Barkley almost have to jump into the water because Josh Allen almost hit a putt that was like 25 feet out. And he said before the putt, if I make this, you have to go jump into the water, Charles. And Charles said okay to it. And it was very close. It was like just off, just barely. So I had a good time watching it. I had more fun watching it than I thought I would. I'll say that. Regardless, let's talk about other things around the NFL. Steelers defensive end to it, retiring after 8 seasons. Kyler Murray is seen at OTAs, and we found out yesterday that Madden NFL 23 is to have Coach Madden featured on every cover of the game, even the deluxe covers. There's like 3 different covers for 3 different versions of the game, and he's going to be on all 3, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that they did the right thing here. I know that I guess I want to know who the actual cover was going to be before this, but that is you know, I might actually buy it just to buy it and not play it. So we'll
Just
see.
to have it.
I haven't played a game of Madden in like 3 or 4 years. So
Oh, jeez. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I have. I will definitely buy it. And I don't know. I'll probably buy one of them. Who knows? Regardless, though, cool to have him there. Cool to see Kyler Murray at OTAs, too. OTA attendance has certainly been interesting to start off all the OTAs. I know the Niners are missing basically everyone. Like, Jimmy's not there. I think Kittle's not there. I know Devo's not there. Nick Bosa isn't there right now. Like we're missing like half of our starters. Fred Warner is seen there but isn't participating. A few other guys are like that where they're seen there but they're not participating in any drills or anything. So certainly interesting. We should try to keep a little bit better track once news gets a little bit slower at who's at these OTAs and who isn't at these OTAs, and if there could be any potential problems with these guys not being at OTAs.
yeah, I don't think it matters this week or next too much. This is a nice time for younger teams that have not had very much success to be able to kind of mesh and mold with their starters. Most of them having younger QBs. I mean, we just saw the best 4 quarterbacks in the league playing golf, so that's where these things are at. So I'm not too worried about any of those teams necessarily. But I am concerned, like if you are Kyler, you probably don't have to be there necessarily because you missed last week. But at the same time, you do enter a season where, there was question marks surrounding whether you were going to return or not. And you also are missing your star wide receiver, who, do you know if Hopkins can play with the team up until September? He can be there, right?
I think so.
He
I
just
would be
can't play in the
surprised if he
games.
wasn't able to be there. I think, like you said, he can't play in games. I don't know. I wonder if he's allowed to practice with the team. Like maybe he's allowed to practice now. Is he allowed to practice with the team like in season? I don't
In
know
camp?
that.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know any of those kinds of things. I also want to know, the Cleveland Brown situation has been very quiet lately.
It
So
has.
uh, there's some stuff that broke that Goodell has to testify on some of these cases and things like that. So uh, again, Cleveland making the long term play. I'm not sure if that was ending up being the right move. I think them because I do think Watson eventually is going to suit up. But you made the playoffs one time in the last 15 plus years with Baker Mayfield, and you did him dirty, and now he's probably going to leave. So I don't know how that's going to end up for them, and I think that Cleveland could take a huge step back this year.
Yeah, I would agree. It's definitely take a huge step back. ADH Panic says no. When you're suspended, it's from all team activities. I'm still curious if that's like if that applies to preseason stuff though.
Yeah, is that like OTAs or does that start in August? I don't
Yeah,
know. That's kind of the
it
question
might be
here.
something that just starts in August, which alone would suck to not have him at practice too. But we also learned that Matt Ryan can put it. Did you see this quote from Michael Pittman, where he said Matt Ryan can put it anywhere he wants, and then said, "Oh, that's awkward."
Yeah.
I thought that was
I also
funny.
saw that Paris Campbell is the leading receiver right now for the Colts.
Ooh, that gives me chills. It's not the name that you want to have as your leading receiver. All right, let's head on to MLB recap. Unless you have anything else to talk about in the NFL.
I don't. It's actually relatively slower day.
Yeah, I agree. Relatively slower day. MLB was not a slow day yesterday. There was quite a lot that went on. 29 home runs hit yesterday. I knew that blew my number out of the water. I think it was just short of your number, too, when we guessed it on 30 to lock yesterday. But Gene Segura out 10 to 12 weeks. Harper continues to battle injuries. This Phillies team has definitely taken a turn for the worse recently. I know at the beginning of the season we were talking about how impressive they were, talking about how good this team was, and I don't know, they don't seem to be that top team anymore. They are below 500 right now, 22 and 29. They won yesterday, so I guess that doesn't really matter too much, but at least yesterday's game doesn't matter too much. But still, 22 and 29. Does that shock you when it comes to this Phillies team?
No, they just continue to be a team that's like they just can't put it together. They've put it a few seasons together, right when Harper got there, but I don't. I think that they just can't. They always seem to get in their own way, whether that's injuries, whether that's just poor playing from the guys that are highly contracted. The next bullet point that we have to talk about here is that the Orioles have the same record as this Philadelphia Phillies team, and the Baltimore Orioles have the lowest payroll in the league, while the Phillies have the fourth highest payroll in the league. So it's just unacceptable, and you would think that they'd be able to do things here. By the way, update on my Aaron Nola takedown that didn't happen yesterday. Gave up 5 runs in the sixth inning, which was absolutely brutal. Did end up getting the win, but man, he had to like go through the ringer to get that with the Schwarber home run. Phillies are
Yeah.
just, I don't know. I can't figure that team out. You know what they are? They are the equivalent of, in a less popular way, the Dallas Cowboys. That's what they are.
Really? Yeah, I guess so.
Payroll. Yep, the
Payroll.
payroll always expected to be good, but never can make it over the hump and never be good enough.
Yeah, did you tweet out or like the tweet about payrolls yesterday? I saw it somewhere on my
Uh,
timeline on Twitter.
I liked the tweet this morning with the Baltimore one.
Maybe that's when I saw it. I don't know. I'd have to scroll a lot to go find it, but I saw that payroll tweet that you put out comparing. It was like comparing the Orioles, the Athletics, the Pirates, and another team to what Philly is spending, and I think it was saying that all of them have equally as good or better records so far this season. So Philly's really down in the dumps right now, even with a win against the Giants, and now just getting so injured. I mean, Gene Segura out for 10 to 12 weeks. That's a really long time. That's like 3 months of losing out on a guy who was on fire. The guy was just continued hitting in the month of May. He looked really good. And like you said, Harper continuing to battle with injuries. Even though he's in the lineup, I feel like some people don't understand that that's still a huge deal. Because you are required to start a guy like Roman Quinn or some
Yeah.
bum outfielder out there. They have plenty of them, but it's just not ideal for sure. All right, let's move on. Keep talking about the MLB recap. Pirates sweep the Dodgers and Amber Heard. That relates to the Johnny Depp stuff, but let's talk about the Pirates sweeping the Dodgers first. Remain undefeated this week. The Pirates do another big win. They just absolutely made. I don't know, man. Like this Dodgers team. Not gonna say they're off. They went through the same thing against the Pirates when they were in PNC Park last almost a month ago now, and then they just went on this incredible hot stretch. So maybe this puts some fuel into them to go on that incredible hot stretch. But what an embarrassing weekend for, or not weekend, embarrassing week for the Dodgers. And this is the first time that the Pirates have swept the Dodgers since 2000, Jared. That's absolutely insane.
That's great. I love it. I love every part of this, and I love the fact that the Pirates live rent free in the Dodgers' heads for whatever reason. So this goes back to your point. I saw something in our Discord. Won't call it out who it was, but they were saying like like defending the Dodgers and saying that they have been rolling most of the season. They probably don't know the stat that you brought up yesterday, and saying
No.
that they are playing against like 80% of the teams that they are under 500. So
Yeah, at that point there was 47 games. It was 41 out of 47 games were against teams below 500. So that's probably around 80%. That's probably more than 80%. That's getting to like 85% or something. But yeah, you're right. A majority of these games have been against lower competition, and I don't know. Maybe I'll take a look at the Dodgers records while we talk about this next point and try to see, is there any point where they have to face off against a good opponent or a lot of good opponents. But anyway, let's keep talking. Let's keep talking about the MLB and talk about how the Nationals deny trading Juan Soto. We thought it was going to happen, Jared. We kept making jokes about it, and we made too many jokes about it because the Nationals said no, not going to happen. And this isn't much of a surprise, right?
no, not really. Uh, well, I don't see why they would. I mean, I know Soto's contract is massive, and he's a young kid, and he's still. I think if that championship isn't won by them with him on the team, then I think that they might approach this a little bit differently. But he is their centerpiece for the foreseeable future. I do think that they'll move on from everybody, and that probably includes Strasburg too, who hasn't really pitched this season. So, uh, yeah, he's the guy. He's going to be their guy forever. And every one of the like most teams in the league have this guy. It's just that this one is a little bit more special than most. Uh, I'm looking at this. They're second last in the NL right now, and that's saying a lot because the Reds have actually been halfway decent the last 10 games or so. And then I don't know, it just seems like they're going to be a team that wins around 65 games this year, and it doesn't seem to be getting much better. You lost Anibal Sanchez, who was supposed to be your number 5, and then they just keep rolling out garbage after garbage pitcher. So I don't think it's going to get any better anytime soon.
Nope, I would agree with that. Probably not going to get any better anytime soon there. At the end of the day, I think someone made a really good point on MLB TV saying that, of course, you're not trading him this season. That would make no sense. The contract expires next season. If you
Yeah.
don't re sign him next season, or if you feel like you're not going to get him, 6 months of Juan Soto is still worth a literal fortune at the end of the day. Like, this guy,
Well,
like,
it's your fan base. It's like that's
yeah.
how you get tickets because you're not making any money selling tickets right now if he's not playing.
Yes,
So
that is definitely. Well, I mean, hey, the Athletics have to be making some money, but as we've seen, it can't be much.
uh,
We don't see many fans show up there, but yeah, I think the point being made that Juan Soto is good enough to where um, he'll still command a price tag come the middle of next year if they feel like they can't re-sign him, and if you trade him with a year and a half left of control, I I honestly can't think of anything that would be worth like him being there for a year and a half. Like that would just require a huge package that I feel like no one is really going to be able to pay.
yeah, I don't think people would do that. I don't know. I'm also seeing the majority of people saying that Juan Soto's going to go somewhere to that same division, which I really, really disagree with too. So who
Where
knows?
would he go?
The Mets is the biggest
No,
talking point.
he's not going to go to the Mets.
I know.
That would
That's
be
what I was
so ugly. I don't think he goes to the Mets, but hey, you never know. Let's talk about Josh Donaldson a little bit, who said yesterday that Yankees' lack of support was hurtful. I don't know what you expected, man. Like it's just I don't know. I wasn't surprised at all to see that the Yankees didn't really support him through this. Um, it's what are your thoughts on the Josh Donaldson situation?
Sounds like he's complaining. That's really
He
what it,
does
I
sound like
don't
he's complaining.
I,
I'm happy that
I
he's
don't
on a
have
2 year
much more to say.
contract. I'm happy he's on a
Yeah,
2 year
well,
contract because I guarantee he leaves after it just because of this.
probably. I mean, like they are just fine without him. So,
They're just
has
fine
you?
without him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much more to say about Donaldson's stuff.
For sure. All right.
He's been kind of a baby through all this anyway.
Yeah, he kind of has. I definitely agree with that. All right, Trout, unsure if he'll be fantasy commissioner again. Also said something about he knows all the great commissioners have been booed, which is somewhat true.
That's funny.
But Trout, yeah, that is funny. Thinking that he probably was talking about his own commissioner too. Regardless, though, all about that fantasy football league that I don't know if you saw this, but Jeff Wilson commented on it yesterday because I guess he heard about it and said
Well, he
thanks
was the
to
player.
huh.
He was the
Yeah,
player that got put on the IR. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. He said thanks to Jock for sticking up for him and for keeping him on his team or something like that. I thought it was funny still though. Regardless, good time with that league. Hope we hear more about it. I hope this isn't the end of it, but we will see. All right, Jared. Anything else with the MLB? If not, let's get to what the people are waiting for. Talk a little bit about the NBA Finals.
Yeah, just that this fantasy football situation continues to unfold and also potentially affecting the Angels because they've lost 6 games in a row, Josh.
Oh wow, that's that is spicy indeed. All right, let's talk about NBA Finals and talk about where things are at for the Warriors and Celtics tonight. Public bettors are all over the Warriors to win the opener and the title. Golden State -3.5 right now. I wonder what the line is on the. I wonder what the line is on the series. Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't, but I can find out.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, go for it.
Warriors -160 to win.
Warriors -160 to win. Do you think that's about right? I think that's pretty spot on.
Well, we're both in the camp of Warriors, so I think we
Hmm.
both agree here. There are a lot of people that are not on that same take.
No, a lot of people that are not on that same take. Script says, "Good morning, good morning, sir." Bacon saying, "Glad we shipped him off." I understand that, Bacon. I bet you are in the Josh Donaldson front. And then Life of Goosey talking about that 96-mile-per-hour changeup that Edward Cabrera had yesterday. Did you see that pitch specifically?
I did.
A
I
lot
think
of people were
I
pretty upset about it because they were saying like,
think
"Oh, a changeup is supposed to slow down and stuff," and it's like, no, it's supposed to have elite movement. That's the whole point of your changeup, and it's supposed to have the same arm slot as the fastball, and that's why it's such a good pitch. But yeah, people were upset. People were like, that should not be thrown so fast, and I still thought it was a good pitch.
why are we complaining about a ball being thrown faster?
I don't know. It's just it's the MLB. That's all you can complain about. Just the ball being thrown faster. Anyway, back to refocusing on NBA Finals here. You think Golden State? You guessed this line yesterday. You said -4 is -3.5. So you continue to knock in your little streak there with guessing lines over at Vegas. You think that's the appropriate line here for Game One?
When you take into account the fact that this Warriors team is going to get home court, then yes, I guess. I think that they will, they allow roughly 3 points for the home team. I do think that it probably should be closer to like 5 or 6.
I
But
agree.
I do think that people are giving Boston a little bit more credit here. I've seen the injury report. We know that there are guys coming back that are questionable for this Warriors team. Otto Porter, Andre Iguodala. We also know that Gary Payton is cleared to return. We don't know how long or if any of those guys will go tonight necessarily. Golden State's been playing a pretty tight rotation. So has Boston. Both Robert Williams and Marcus Smart are clear to go as well. But I do think that we'll see injuries continue to plague both teams, more so the Boston Celtics in terms of importance than the Warriors. But I don't know, man. I'm seeing Warriors tonight, and I think that they win, by probably 5, 6 points. I'm
Yeah,
willing to take the spread, is what I'm trying to say.
yeah. I think the spread's a good bet at -3.5. I think Warriors win this one. I think they win pretty, not handedly necessarily. It's going to be a very close game, but I think they come out on top at the end of the day in this game. If you're betting Warriors to win, do you have to double down with Steph MVP? Only trophy missing from the case. I think this is a good question. He's currently the favorite to win that MVP award. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think if the Warriors win, he has to be MVP?
I guess we'll kind of see. I think that he. So the way I'm looking at this, and this might sound weird coming off just like I'm about to say it, but he does not have to be the best player on his team to win MVP and win the title. I know that might sound weird, but I still think
No,
that he'll end up getting. I think he'll end up getting it because the stats don't have to be there for Curry every game for them to win this title. In my opinion, I think that just him being out on the floor makes all the difference in the world. So I don't think he needs to have an MVP type of performance to take home the Finals MVP.
yep. Curry minus 110 to win that MVP trophy. By the way, Jason Tatum plus 165, and then it goes a little bit higher after that. Jaylen Brown plus 900, Klay Thompson plus 900, Marcus Smart at plus 1200, and your boy Jordan Poole at plus 1800. Bacon
Pretty good.
saying, yeah, no, very some pretty good odds there. Bacon saying there was some stat like Golden State is 18-2 in the first game. I'm curious to go see, did they win game one of the Raptors finals game in that series back in 2019? Just because I want to see, like, do they win game ones even when they're losing a series, or when they end up
Hmm.
losing a series? Be something I'd be interested in going to look at, but I guess it doesn't apply too much to this team.
I need to find this exact number again, but I believe Steve Kerr is something like 19-0 in playoff series. Does that make sense? Or not finals, not finals, just everything leading up to it, all Western Conference
Oh,
stuff.
um,
Because every time that they make it to the finals, they
they make
don't
it
lose the
deep.
series, obviously, and then they don't make the playoffs, so it doesn't count against the record. So
Yeah,
that's where that's gone. At least during the Steph era of that team. I don't know. Maybe I'm off there. I know they've lost a finals before, so
yep.
I think that wasn't counting finals. Either way, I still think that this thing is. I'm just thinking the series is lopsided, and I think that the Celtics do win two games, but I think that ultimately Golden State's probably going to end up winning a game in Boston, which then flips it on its head, and they're able to kind of take command of this. So I know we'll get to. I'll say my exact prediction in a second here, but I think that just the sheer factor of this Boston team not having any finals experience, nobody on their team has played a finals minute. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think through all the players right now. I don't know that any one of them have been on the finals before. I think you're pretty spot on there if I'm thinking of everyone correctly.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to that. And even if you want to write that off and say doesn't matter, which it does, by the way. So if you're saying it doesn't matter as much, uh, if you have the argument of like Celtics have the ability to beat Golden State here in this series, I will just say that the most important thing that you're not going to be looking at that's out of everybody's control is coaching. And I think that Steve Kerr is the clear alpha and should be able to run circles around this Boston Celtics coaching staff.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I guess the one thing, I'll be devil's advocate here and advocate for the Celtics side a little bit. I don't want us to seem all one sided here. This is the best team that they've played perimeter defensive wise, which should slow down Clay and Steph at least a little bit. It's the most physical team that they've seen all playoffs long. I feel like that slows down things. I think it's a similar physicality to what you saw from the Grizzlies, and we saw Golden State handle them pretty clearly there. But still, I think at the end of the day, Boston's the more physical team, and I just size wise, like you're talking about. The size difference of some of these guys is insane. If you're talking about just size alone, Celtics definitely have a huge advantage on that front. Now, can their size stay healthy? I guess is the biggest question. Robert Williams been dealing with injuries all series long. Smart, not part of that size conversation, but still need to stay healthy all series long. I feel like that could be the X factor. Is just health. Like, which side stays healthier? Similar to what we were talking about in the Celtics series. We kept talking about, like, which side stays healthier throughout the series is whichever
Yeah.
side is going to win. And I think you can make a very similar argument about that being the case for this Warriors and Celtics finals.
Well, that's why it's so important to see what the health status of Gary Payton and Otto Porter are, because if those guys are in, that's tremendous. Especially when 'cause I think that the Boston Celtics are more of a team. I think that these are two very, very different offenses where the Warriors will have this kind of like free flowing system of making sure that they're going to get people open regardless of what the defense does against them. On the other side, Boston is more of a strategic, like we're going to find the best matchup and we're going to isolate that and make sure that that person who you isolate on is going to take the shot. So when you have a team of defenders of Steph Curry and Jordan Poole, they're not normally on the same court all the time together, but they will be the guys that they target. So if you have guys like Otto Porter that can sub in for Jordan Poole, or Gary Payton that can sub in for Steph Curry or Jordan Poole, in those clutch under 2 minute type situations where the ball is out on the side, and that's where this is going to be won and lost, I think. And also, I'm not all too sure. We're not going to see this game, but this is the exciting part of this chess match over the next 6-7 games here, because I think it does get to that point where you go that late. I'm really interested to see what the Warriors' game plan is here. If they're going to stay big and try to play up, because I don't know if that's going to work necessarily, or if they're going to be a little bit more strategic. Keep Dre as your five, and don't play Kevon Looney as much, because I think we'll see a lot of Looney minutes tonight. And that's going to be Kerr's tryout to see whether or not this is going to work in this series.
Yep, I completely agree with that take. I think you will see a lot of Kevon Looney tonight, and that will be a big difference maker in this series overall if he can perform and perform at a large amount of minutes as well. All right, Jared, let's give series. Well, before we give series predictions, I just want to highlight this piece of news that we got yesterday, which kind of surprised we got it yesterday. I would think that you'd get it like morning of, just to use the news cycle as much as possible. But Jaylen Brown joins Kanye West's firm Donda Sports before the NBA Finals. He's the first NBA player to do so. Aaron Donald already on Donda Sports, one of the NFL players on the Kanye West's firm. I don't know. I don't have many thoughts on this. I think it's interesting, like I said, that they did it yesterday and not today.
Yeah, he announced it during the NBA Finals press cycle, so it is what it is. I mean, I think it's kind of cool, but at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know. It's just another piece of NBA Finals news that really doesn't really matter too much.
Yep, exactly. All right, let's move on. Give your series predictions here, or series prediction. What are you thinking overall for this one?
So my prediction, I've said a lot of good things about the Warriors, so my prediction may come off a little bit, I don't know, not biased necessarily, but I do think that people like are expecting me to say Warriors in 4. I do think that the Celtics are able to take a couple of games from the Warriors, most likely at home. They have been a really good road team this year too, so I can't necessarily count that out. But I do think the Warriors win tonight. I think it's going to be a chess match of over 5 games, pushing into 6 and 7. And I think that the ultimate thing here is making sure that some of those bench players for Golden State are healthy to where they can switch in and out of Curry and Jordan Poole. That's going to be where the series is won and lost, as well as coaching and as well as experience in the last 5 minutes. Like if Boston has games like they had against Miami in Game 7, where they almost blew it at the very end. You saw them blow a Game 5 at home against Milwaukee. That was an epically terrible performance that won't get talked about enough. And this Boston team just does not have the experience late in games. And I know Jason Tatum's been great in those moments this season, but I don't think that continues here. So I'm going to go ahead and say Warriors in 6.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Warriors in 7 here. I think it takes a little bit longer. I think you see Boston win all their home games. I think you see Warriors win all their home games, and it's just like that. I think it's at the end of the day, the clear thing that I give the Warriors over Boston is just Wiggins, man. I think Wiggins is going to play
Yep.
such a big role in this game compared to what everyone thinks. He's going to be the key defender either for Jaylen Brown or for Jason Tatum, and I think he'll guard Jason Tatum. I think he'll do a really good job of it too. We saw him do a great job of guarding Luka at points. I think he shuts down Jason Tatum, and I think that's going to be a huge thing that, like I said, no one really talks about at the end of the day. So Warriors in 7 is my guess. Let's move on to the dog days of summer. And yes, it is the dog days of summer, finally, instead of the dog days of spring. And we get to talk a little bit and go a little bit more in depth on this Celtics and Warriors board. because it's fully released and we get to bet on it, and it should be interesting. I'm excited to talk about this with you.
Yes, the first thing that my eyes gravitate towards right away is Andrew Wiggins props, because I think that, like, to your point, we haven't really talked enough about this. So here it is. Like, you already alluded to it. The series is won and lost by Andrew Wiggins, and not many people are going to talk about that. It's not going to be the only thing, but we've seen how Wiggins has been able to flourish. By the way, All-Star Wiggins, haven't forgotten.
Yeah.
Uh, he is going to be he's going to need to step up in this game, and he hasn't necessarily, like, I think the reason he's done so well is he hasn't had to be the best player on the team, and he can, I think he's also one of the best defenders on this team. So you're right, he's going to have to guard Brown and Tatum. There's going to be no other guys for him to guard on this team. That's where his focus is going to be. So I am going to go ahead and talk about some of these props. We have 15 and a half points, 6 rebounds, over 1.5 3-pointers made, 22 and a half points, rebounds. I think the one that's intriguing to me, I don't necessarily want to chase rebound numbers or point numbers, but the fantasy point number makes a lot of sense here at 30.45. And I know that this Underdog has very similar scoring to FanDuel too, so it makes a lot of sense in this spot. Wiggins has gone over this 30 number a lot, and the reasons he didn't in the last series were just because he basically wasn't needed to guard specific positions, and the guys on the Mavericks that he was taking on weren't necessarily guys that he needed to be, like, they weren't really around the ball. It was mainly concentrated around Luka, and if they passed it out, it would go to guys like Dinwiddie or Brunson. So I think that Wiggins will be much more involved on both ends of the court in this series. So I'm glad to take the over of 30.45 fantasy points. And we don't have to make our calls right now. Let's just talk about a few more players in this game.
Yeah, for sure. I guess one that I found interesting was just the Steph line overall. I think 27 and a half points is a lot, but I think 6 assists is definitely something that's attainable. I think 5 rebounds is potentially something that's attainable. And I think 3.5 point 3-pointers made seems low, doesn't it?
A little bit. It seems like it seems like they will probably try to come out and just keep firing up threes to try to get the crowd behind them. So if they go in, obviously this bet cashes in probably the second quarter. But we'll see. It does feel like a Steph goes 6 for 6 on threes in the first half kind of night.
Yeah, for sure. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. I wanted to cover two numbers, or one number from both of these guys. The turnover number. This has been a Celtics team that has turned over the ball like madmen all playoffs long. It's been one of their biggest weaknesses is turning over the ball. I talked a little bit about that yesterday, and I think that those turnover numbers are definitely something that I'd be trying to hit all series long because 2.5 feels too low, and it's 3.5 for Tatum, which seems a little high, but I could still see him hitting that at the end of the day.
Yeah, 2.5 is the same thing for Marcus Smart too. That does feel a little bit high, but I'm actually willing to take that one on Smart. So we haven't talked about Smart enough really yet, and I think that he's probably the healthiest he's been in a week and a half or so. Got a couple more days to heal that foot sprain. And I do think that sometimes, while he's one of the most important players, if not the most important player from a team chemistry perspective for this team, he does get into his head a little bit too much at times, thinks that he can take over the game and makes really questionable shots and bad decisions. So I could see Marcus Smart going over that turnover mark. Uh, I was hoping that we would get the Draymond turnover prop, but we don't have that.
Yeah, no turnover point for Draymond. All right, I'm just looking through a few more of these. I like a lot of stuff here at the end of the day, though. I think Robert Williams under 23 and a half fantasy points might end up working out really well for you at the end of the day. I don't see him being the biggest factor, and the fact that we don't know if he's healthy or not, he could just play 24 minutes, and I don't think he'll have a fantasy point per minute at the end of the day. So I could see that working out for you. I could see Derek White being someone that comes through for you. You know, he's at 17 and a half fantasy points. I feel like that's really low considering how much of a role he played in the last playoff game or in the last few playoff games for the Celtics. You could see him hit the over on that number. I want to get your thoughts on Draymond, though. RPA for him is at 22 and a half. That's really the only thing that I bet for Draymond is RPAs. You think that's right around the right number at 22 and a half?
It feels a tad low. It feels like this should be at 25, but I don't know. I think the same thing goes for Horford. Not necessarily the PRA, but just how the game script's going to go. I'd think if I'm the Warriors, I probably want to end up playing big in the first quarter to see how it goes. And then after that, you start making decisions. And you talk about the weakest players at those positions, and it's probably Williams on Boston, and it's probably Looney on Golden State, which means you have fives of Al Horford and Draymond Green, which that entices me quite a bit. So I don't know if I'm going to go ahead and take the PRA of Draymond, but I do like the Al Horford fantasy prop. So it's 28.75 fantasy points. Dude was averaging like 38 in that Miami series, and most of those games were blowouts. So give me the Al Horford fantasy points because at the end of the day, if something happens to where they have to change script, Horford's going to be in no matter what.
Yep, for sure. All right, I want to go over some of these rivals. Kind of want to get your opinion on what side you would take when it comes to these rivals bets. So I'm going to go through a few of them, not through all of them. There's not enough time to go through all of them, but let's go through some of them, and we can both give our sides. First one here is Derek White versus Grant Williams in points. Grant Williams plus 0.5. So it's basically which guy do you think comes out on top? If they're tied, Grant Williams gets the tiebreaker, but
Mm. I will lean Derek White.
so will I. I think that's a smart move at the end of the day. Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown? Brown getting +1 in rebounds. This is the rebounding prop.
Mm. Give me Jaylen. Give me
Same here.
Jaylen. I think that Tatum's probably going to be pushed to take the ball up the court, so he's probably the least likely to get the rebound.
Yep, I can agree with that. All right, rebounds plus assists. This one is also Tatum versus Brown. Brown's +3 in this category. So rebounds and assists, Brown +3.
Yeah, give me Brown again. I think
Yep.
+3 is enough to get me that way. We're not talking about points, which I think Tatum probably gets him by 10, so we'll see.
Yep. Speaking of points, let's talk about that. Jason Tatum versus Curry, +0.5 for Curry in this one.
I'll take Tatum. I don't think Steph needs to have a monster game for them to win, and
Okay.
Tatum's going to have to put up 40 if they want to win this one.
Yeah, for sure. All right. PRA, points plus rebounds plus assist. Tatum versus Curry. Curry plus 2.5.
This is criminal. Take Tatum all day.
Yeah, okay. I can get
Like
behind it.
this is kind of a weird line. That's one
Yeah.
of our underdog picks for sure.
Yeah. All right. Points. Jaylen Brown versus Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson plus 3.5.
A little bit tougher. I don't know if Jaylen Brown. I don't. It just depends on who Wiggins guards the most, right? That's kind of what we're thinking about here. And then who, if they switch, who do they try to put Jaylen Brown on? I guess that's the real question. And if it probably could be Klay a little bit. Give me. Hmm, I'll take Klay Thompson plus 3.5.
I like that at the end of the day. I think I can get behind that. By the way, DPDBGA123 says, we crashed in the boards. Go Warriors. We're on that Warriors side as well. So we're there with you. All right. A few more of these and then we'll move on. PRA, Jaylen Brown versus Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins plus 9.5, Jared. So big chunk added on there. I still take Jaylen Brown on this side of things.
ERA, Jaylen Brown, Wiggins. That feels really, really like that feels too big to me. I don't know. I take Wiggins.
Well, my thing is that, like, if my theory is true and Wiggins is solely responsible for Tatum, I would lean with Jaylen Brown having a night. And so that's why I kind of lean towards Jaylen Brown being the better guy. And I feel like Wiggins is mostly focused on his defense. But hey, I don't know. It's all hypothetical until we see the game today. All right, gonna go through a few more of these. Here's a fun one: Al Horford or Andrew Wiggins in 3-pointers made. Line is even here, so no
Really?
pluses on either side.
Oh, well, give me Horford then.
Okay, I like it. I think that's solid. Kevon Looney or Robert Williams in rebounds. Williams at +3 there.
Looney.
Yes.
If Looney plays, I think if Looney plays, he's playing like 28 minutes.
Yeah, I can agree with that. PRA, Al Horford or Kevon Looney +4.5.
Ooh, give me Horford. I think Horford just crushes the point total in that, which should be enough.
Yep, for sure. All right, last one, and then we can move on. I'll give you your most hated guy and your most liked guy in this
I
series.
see it right in front of me. Yeah.
Jordan Poole or Grant Williams in PRA. Grant Williams +8.5.
I don't know if Jordan Poole plays enough minutes for this.
Oh,
Um, See, Grant Williams is going to end with like 12 fantasy points. You hear it here first. I don't think he really plays much in this series. So we'll see if I'm right or not. Um, just for today's show's sake, I'll take Jordan Poole. That's a lot of points, though.
that is a lot of points to give Grant Williams there. All right, lots of fun to go through those. I think we'll try to go through those more often when we go over our Dog Days of Summer segment. But Jared, let's get to our actual picks. I've had mine in mind basically the whole time we've been talking. I already knew what I was going to take. But what are you going to take here?
I'm going to go back to the fantasy scores, and I'm going to go ahead and take the Al Horford fantasy score of over 28.75.
I like it. I am going to also take the over of a fantasy score. It's one that we didn't get to talk about much, but I think this is a lock button. I think this is insane to put him at this number. Give me Kevon Looney +20 or over 24.5 total fantasy points. When you add in blocks and steals at 3, Looney could cover a good, probably half of that fantasy score with just blocks and steals. This guy is gonna do everything on the floor, and I think it's easy to take Looney there at over 24.5 fantasy points. So
Yep.
great, good stuff. Really like that we went through all that. That was a lot of fun. But Jared, we do have to end up getting out of here. We have an early only slate that we have to cover, and we have all the content that we have prepared for today. So it's a big day in sports. Jared, give me your final thoughts before we get out of here.
Yeah. Final thoughts. I think that if you're not playing on Underdog Fantasy already, you need to do so starting today. We have plenty of ways to help you out there. We have a promo code and affiliate code. And so if you are interested in that, I'll drop the code here in the chat. You can also find it in our Discord, which is discord.gg/RotoRadar. We will talk about everything related to the NBA Finals there, as well as share some props for that in our sports betting section of the server, where we talk about things like this every single day after the stream. So we'll be dropping this Horford Looney fantasy point section in that Discord chat as well. And again, I think that this is gonna be a fun series. I think game ones are extremely fun. This one, while I'm not like, I like the matchup that we have. I feel like it's different. It's not something that anybody predicted, so that's always really fun when you have that for the NBA.
Yep, I completely agree. It is a lot of fun when you have those for the NBA, and like you said, game one, it's a lot of fun to watch these games and see how these two teams fare and all the hypes around this one, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this series. I know I'm really excited about it. This is the most excited I've been for a championship series. Well, it's not that long ago, since 2020 when my Lakers were in it. So it's definitely going to be a fun one to watch, and I know I'm excited, man. I'm thrilled. Yeah, make sure to come join the Discord and stuff. We'll be talking about everything in there. We'll be sweating out the game, most likely, with you guys in the Good Skill chat room. So if you want to come just chat it up with us, I know I'm going to be in there as much of the night as possible to talk the game with you guys and have some fun doing it. So thank y'all for hanging out this morning. We greatly appreciate it. We will be live tomorrow at the exact same time. And thank you for coming out. As always, my name is Joshua Reimer. Good morning and good skill.